Welcome to the podcast. Today's guest is Rob Gibson. Rob, welcome aboard, mate.
Yeah, thanks for having me, mate. Thanks for having me.
So
really looking forward to it.
your username on Instagram is The Art of Escape. That's right, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. It was I just sort of threw it together when I first sort of went away travelling to France, and it seems to have stuck. So reluctant to change it now, but I should do really, I suppose.
That's right, it works. I like it. It's a good one. Right, give everyone a bit of a background into you, and we can go from there, mate. It's a bit of an intro.
Yeah, no worries. So obviously I started off fishing in the UK. Fell in love with it straight away. Not necessarily carp fishing, but just all formats of fishing. And then, I obviously got the bug then for the carp fishing. And after a while of living in the UK and working constantly to go fishing, I sort of thought, well, why do I do that? I should just buy a cheap van and go to France. So that's basically what I did. I saved up. I bought a really cheap van from a breaker's yard for 150 quid and got it on the road. And then I basically lived in it for 12 months over 2 years and just fished all around France. And yeah, it was brilliant. I had a great time. Had a really good time.
When was that, Rob?
So that was about 2 years ago now that I did that. And initially I started off in the Alps, in the French Alps, because I did ski seasons. And I started fishing the Alpine lakes and stuff like that. Had some amazing fishing and met some really cool people over there. And then, I just moved around the whole of France, really, doing bits and pieces, doing some filming with different companies. And I really just, it was just perfect life. But, yeah, unfortunately, things have to come to an end.
I was going to say, what sort of brought that to an end?
Well, a combination of things, really. I'm not really getting any younger.
How old are you, Rob?
I'm 28, but I'm 29 very soon. Right. And I wanted to sort of settle down a bit and focus on my camera work a bit more and bits and pieces. But obviously now I'm sort of getting really back into my fishing again and wanting to go out and go travelling again. So,
where are you based at the minute, mate?
So I'm in North Wales just now. Right up in Snowdonia, in the middle of nowhere.
Lovely.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's a good place to be in this strange situation we're in. That's for sure.
Sure. Especially if you're into your camera as well.
Yeah, well, I can go on I am working through the week, but obviously I have my one walk a day, so I can take my camera out with me for a few hours and not see anyone else, which is pretty good.
Yeah. I went to Snowdonia for the first time in between Christmas and New Year.
Yeah.
And it was when we had absolutely brutal winds. I got to sort of nearly the summit, we had to turn back. People were getting blown up. People were getting blown off their feet, like adults.
Really?
I was like, I don't think I'll go any further. Yeah, it was savage at the top on that bit. The wind was sort of sweeping over, like I don't know which part. You go under a bridge, like under the little railway bridge bit, and then turn right.
Oh
God. But it was savage, the wind. Yeah, so I was like,
I've
save it for another day in the summer.
I've not been up there since I was a kid, to be honest. So,
right.
But it's right on my doorstep. I should probably do it once I get the chance.
Yeah. It's stunning place, isn't it?
It's beautiful, that's for sure. It is.
How long have you lived up there, mate?
Well, I've very recently moved back from central London. I was working in central London. I did some fishing down there, but nothing really to write home about. But yeah, I've lived. My family's lived here probably 18 years, I imagine.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a proper family home, which is quite nice.
Yeah. So obviously, with you getting back into your fishing, how does that affect it? Obviously, it's a fair old trek from most places, isn't it, out there?
Yeah, well, I work self-employed, so I can sort of control my time off, which is pretty useful. So what I'm starting to do now is take blocks of 4 days off, and as soon as I can afford it, basically, I'm going away. I'm fishing for 4 days, and then I'm coming home. And I've been concentrating, at places around Peterborough, and recently places around Oxford, and I'm sort of doing more of that. But now with this lockdown, because I'm still working and I can't do anything. Obviously, I've got a bit of time to accumulate some more money. I've got a new van, I've got a new boat, and I'm just basically chomping at the bit, waiting to get back out to France or Holland.
Yeah.
So
is that something you've always done? Sort of gone on European adventures?
Yeah. So my passion really is fishing public waters. You know, the wild rivers and the canals and the mountain lakes, and that really captures me. And I first started doing it with a really good friend of mine, Alex Norgate from Carp Watercraft, and you know, we fished some beautiful places, some places where we probably shouldn't have been, and I just fell in love with it. And it's that whole adventure that really sort of captures me. So I just need to do more of it, basically.
Yeah. Does it take sort of much planning for stuff like that? Because you're fishing the public waters? Is it just a case of loading the van and going, or how does that work for those that haven't done it?
I mean, what I would recommend really is, do a bit of research, have a look at the water, because there's no point turning up to 4,000 acres with, little reels and stuff like that. And if you're not on the fish and you can't get to them, you are not going to catch them. You have to look for them. So, it's the same as everything else. You turn up, you look for the fish and everything. But with regards to preparation, I mean, I'd like to say I do the bare minimum, but I suppose I don't really. Your main preparation is making sure that you've got the right kit. If you've got a boat, make sure you've got a life jacket. Make sure you've got enough bait. Make sure you've got ropes. That if you forget something, then it's actually unbelievably difficult to get what you need when you're away or you're in France.
Right.
And the sort of places I go, I could be 4 miles away from the van, and I've got there by boat, and I could get there and then realise I've forgotten all my leads. Yeah, which has happened. Things like that have happened before, and you just have to make do.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, you
what
have
about,
to.
I suppose you have to have plenty of spares, don't you, as well, for something like that? Line and all of that.
Yeah, I always take spare spool. I use braid when I'm away mainly, so I always take spare spools with braid on. Plenty of leads. You need so many leads. Plastic bottles for markers, and just even stuff like rubber bands and paper clips. If you need to make big leads and you need to use a stone, then you've just got to have the bits and pieces to be able to do it, really. And a lot of it comes with doing it and learning from others as well. So
yeah. Do you sort of do video diaries of all your trips?
Well, I have done. I mean, I've not released any. I'm actually working on one now. Unfortunately, my first year, I saved all of my stuff onto an external hard drive, which got stolen from my van along with my camera and my laptop and everything else while I was fishing the river. That was in Chalon-sur-Saône, central France, and so I lost all of the first year of fishing in the Alps. I lost all the footage of that pretty much, which is kind of heartbreaking. But then I've probably got 6-7 months of footage to keep going through now, plus a load of stuff from the UK. So, in answer to the question, I will be once I have the time to do my own thing a bit more. Then I will be getting on with that. That's the plan this year for sure. Right. If we can get away.
Okay. Yeah, it's all up in the air, isn't it, at the minute?
Oh, yeah, it's ridiculous. It's an absolute nightmare.
Yeah, so I suppose in terms of lockdown for you at the minute, obviously apart from not being able to physically get out and get the rods out, it isn't too bad because of the nature of your work. If you've got a load of stuff to edit, I suppose you can crack on, can't you, at home?
Yeah, you can, but it's finding the drive to sit down and actually do it with so many distractions. It's like today, I had every intention today of chatting to you earlier this morning and doing all that, but I've ended up in the garden cutting up a load of firewood and then splitting it all with an axe and pressure washing the bottom of the boat, But it's a really good time to get everything organised. It's like the ultimate time to get all of your kit properly organised. Yeah. So there's no excuse to forget your leads.
Yeah, exactly. Checklist and tick it all off.
Yeah, that's the one, yeah.
How long do you think we're going to be in lockdown for, Rob?
I'm hoping that they're going to start relaxing it around the second week in May. I mean, I'm not sure. I've been trying to keep an eye on what's going on without, getting my head into it too much. And I've got quite elderly parents, and my little brother's got breathing difficulties anyway. So for me, I worry about it a lot, and I don't want to have it in my head constantly. So I keep a loose eye on things. But yeah, I'm hoping that's going to be the case.
Yeah, that's good. And talk us through a little bit. I mean, we get quite a few sort of photo and video guys come on. Talk us through a little bit how you got into that side of things. Has it been a passion of yours sort of since a kid, or how did that come about?
Right. So I decided that I was going to go and do this this Euro adventuring before I'd even bought a proper camera.
Right.
So basically, the first time I ever went to France fishing, I was like, I need to have a proper camera, and I didn't spend a lot of money. I bought I think I bought a 400. I bought a Canon. I had an old Canon 400D, but I didn't have that for very long. And then after that, I bought a 1300D, and I only really had one lens. I had, well, obviously the kit lens, but I had a 50mm prime, and it basically just did everything. And I got really into taking photos and making bits of video. And then obviously, after sort of releasing photos and sending them to companies that I was using bits of their stuff, they'd sort of help me out and send me bits of tackle and bits of bait. And it, it just went on from there, really. And, luckily enough now I'm in a better situation, and you can only ever improve with a camera. You're still, you're learning all the time.
Yeah.
There's always a different thing to learn with a camera.
What have you sort of progressed to in terms of kit now?
I shoot with Canon 5D Mark III. I do a lot of video work with Sony's.
Right.
But yeah, my go-to, my workhorse is a Canon, and they always will be. I think I just get on with them so well, and changing now would just be silly for me. I think really, just so used to
the
it.
lenses you've got.
Yeah, I've got a load of glass as well, and that you spend so much money, you don't realise, but over time you spend so much money on all your kit, and to change it all would just be a nightmare. And they never work the same with adapters. So
no, definitely. What do you think of that? The new mirrorless R5 that's due to come out soon.
Well, the EOS R, as far as I could tell, was a good camera. But the only thing that bothered me with it was the lack of stabilisation. So I think the EOS R5, they've put stabilisation in the body, which will make a big difference.
Yeah, definitely, because they're sort of slowly phasing out the EF mount as well, aren't they, in favour of the RF?
Yeah, they are, but they'll never completely get rid of that, I don't suppose.
No,
they're already making adapters.
Yeah. I've got the R, and I borrow a 7200 off a friend with the adapter. It's such a great lens, but obviously,
is that the f2.8
RF one? Yeah.
I
think it's the Mark II. But yeah, obviously there's now the RF one, isn't there? This stubbier, but it's got a zoom that sort of moves, doesn't it? So
yeah, I shoot a lot with the 7200, but I use a Sigma.
Right.
And I think they're fantastic. The one thing I will say, if you're buying cameras and lenses, you don't have to. If you're starting out and you've got a Canon, you don't have to buy the Canon prime lenses. There's plenty of companies like Yongnuo. My first lens that I bought was a f1.8 50mm prime Yongnuo lens for 50 quid off Amazon, and I still have it now, and it's still brilliant. So you can pick up bits and pieces for cheap, and a lot of old. If you're doing video work, if you look at old lenses and buy adapters that are manual focus, they're brilliant. They're really sharp. There's plenty you can do now, but technology's moving on a lot as well. So
at what point did you sort of think, right, I'm going to go for it? There's stuff coming in. I can make this my full-time gig.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I just really wanted to do it, I suppose. And if you want something enough, you've just got to sort of delve into it. I do other bits of work on the side. I'm a mechanic, so I do bits and pieces with
Right.
mechanics, and I worked for a company in London with events, just to boost the
Okay.
money up to buy the lenses and the kit and everything to sort of get me
Yeah.
going. So I'm still moving forward with it, really, but
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, it just depends how you go about getting the work. I luckily I met some really good people that have wanted to help me out, and I
Hmm.
think that's part of the battle, really. I think if you find the right people within the industry, and you try and help them out as much as you can, and and they will they will help. People will help you. There's a
Yeah.
there's a lot of stigma in the angling industry that people aren't the most friendly or welcoming, but actually I would disagree. I think
Hmm.
it's a really solid unit.
Yeah. No, I've noticed that from. I mean, I've been doing this podcast for a year and a half, just over, and yeah, by and large, the majority of people are sound. Really nice. Yeah, and it's refreshing to hear and see.
Yeah, I think it's brilliant. And I tell you the other thing I'm really impressed by is the amount of youngsters coming into the sport, like
Hmm.
16, 17-year-olds now that are getting coverage, and I think it's really good. That's a really passion of mine. I think it's really good to see people with an interest in angling,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, it's a sport that we all love, and we need the younger generation to come through so that we can keep doing it and it keeps progressing.
Yeah, no, absolutely, mate. Yeah, there's young Otto Reed. He's really active on social media, and the Oak Carp on Instagram.
Yeah, yeah, he seems to be
He's doing
doing
a
a lot.
great job.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
there's
see
loads of
him doing
people.
his lives every day. No, it's a real good shout.
Yeah,
Where go on, mate.
I think people are just doing what they can at the minute as well to try and get everyone through this situation.
Yeah,
Everyone's just pulling together, aren't they?
yeah, definitely. Where did it all start for you in terms of angling? Was it sort of handed down from parents, or
Yeah, well,
how did
yeah.
you get into it?
My granddad was a really like a European class match fisherman, basically. My
All
dad,
right.
my dad, he's a fisherman. He fishes for everything except carp, because I fish for carp, obviously. Um, and my uncle Greg, he did a lot. He was with Rod Hutchinson, and he ran a company called Carp Trek, doing trips to Lac de Daire and other big public
Okay.
waters in France in the 90s. And it just comes down, doesn't it? And
Yeah.
you end up stuck in it. And once you start carp fishing, that's it's a proper bug, isn't it? It really gets you.
Yeah. Yeah, it can. Yeah, when a particular water or a fish gets under your skin, that's
Yeah.
it, isn't
Well,
it?
I don't seem to have the same thing. A lot of people, I don't knock it at all. They fish for these named fish, and they
Mm.
they're going after one particular fish, and they know what every fish in the lake's called. And I prefer to turn up somewhere and have absolutely no idea of what's going on. Like, I want to get there and just be thrown in the deep end. I don't want to know where the fish are. I don't want to know who's been catching what, why, how. I just want to do it myself. I want to find them, and I think that's part of the adventure for me. I think
Yeah. And
everyone's
is that
different.
obviously why you're going to Europe so much?
Yeah, but again, I like it. With Europe, you need a little bit of information, because you have to know if the locals are friendly and if you're going to get in trouble and where's safe to park. A lot of the places that I've fished in the past, people
Yeah.
will turn up there, and if the locals know they're making a video, they will, they'll break the windows in their cars, they'll nick their tackle, and you've got to be. Luckily, I speak an element of French, so I can get by a bit. Um,
Right.
and yeah, it's I like to turn up, chuck all my gear in my boat, and set off up the river. And I might go 5 6 miles up the river if I can, until I find
Yeah.
some fish, and then I'll stay there for a night, and then I might move or I might stay. It's that's what I'm into, I guess.
Mm.
So yeah.
Yeah, and it must be quite worrying if you're sort of having to think about your van and it being broken into as well.
Yeah, so it sort of helps to know people who've been there, because then if they've got some
Hmm.
advice, like, it's safe to park here, then don't think anything
Right.
else. Just go where they've said, because that if you've got a thought in your head saying, oh shit, what about my van? Then you're not fishing properly. You're not concentrating on what you're doing, And I think it's important to have that focus as well. So it's good to know where everything is and that everything's safe.
Yeah.
I think that's
Have
important.
you got like one of those van vaults in yours now after what happened last time?
Yeah, so I have all of my camera gear with me in a pelly case wherever I go. I have an internal lock on the side door, and I've got shielded locks on the back doors and the front doors,
Yeah.
and I've got a bulkhead, which I didn't when
Yeah.
that older van was a really old 1998 Citroen Relay. And it
Right.
had no bulkhead in it. You could get through to the back from the front, and it was like I'd turned it into a bit of a camper. And basically, my entire that was my home. So
Yeah.
if anyone wanted to get in, it was really easy. You could just open it with a screwdriver.
Right.
So it was,
Crikey.
I did. You lock the doors as much as you can. I put a bolt on the back door, but they ripped the bolt out the back door anyway. So it would, there was they knew what they knew there was something in there, and they weren't stopping. So, and I'm glad I
Yeah.
wasn't in
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
That would have been worse.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah, definitely. What are the sort of stamper fish that you're going for? Obviously, there's the element of unknown, but can you talk us through some of your past captures?
Yeah. So, I mean, in the Alps, oh, that lake's just a freak, man. I mean, we've had. I mean, I met some Dutch guys. I'd been there for 3 months, and I met some Dutch guys. In between three of us, I think we had 8 fish over 25 kilos in 5 days.
Right.
Uh, I've had fish over 30 kilos in the Alps. I've had
Yeah.
3 or 4 fish over 30 kilos. Um, and even like I fished a wakeboarding lake and had a 48-pound common out of there. That was really weird. They were wakeboarding while I was fishing. It was a really odd scenario, but it was good fun. And then on the rivers, I've had fish over 50, 60 pound out of the rivers. Depends where you go. You're always going to find bigger fish. There's always going to be somewhere with a bigger carp in it than where you're fishing, but that's just the way it goes.
Hmm.
And these are wild
Yeah.
fish 9 times out of 10. They're public waters. A lot of them aren't caught. A few of them are. There's some popular European public waters.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've had fish, you know, anything from sort of 8 pound up to 70 pound from from the same sort of place. So there's
Yeah.
really everything to
And so
go.
you're discovering these types of waters through sort of acquaintances and contacts that you've met.
Yeah, so I've got a lot of friends over in Holland, and the Dutch are really big on public water angling in Europe.
Yeah.
So they're a great, and I've got some really good Dutch friends, and we always discuss bits and pieces. But I found a lot. I
Mm.
found a lot of things with Google Maps in the Alps, and just going to
Hmm.
have a look, driving out, having a look round. And yeah, it's just really, I just find
Yeah.
it all really interesting. It's all part of the adventure. You find it, and you go and you see if you can find a car,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's
And so
just awesome.
with a public water, is
Yeah.
that just a case of you just turn up and fish, or do you still have to buy a ticket?
So it's like basically you need to get a regional license. So you go
Mm.
onto the Federation Depeche website. You buy the right ticket, and that ticket will cover you for the whole of France. Basically, it's about
Right.
130 euros for a year, and that will
Hmm.
give you access to any public water in France. So
Right.
a lot of the public waters will have different rules. Some will be no night fishing. A lot of them in the Isère, they're all, most of them are no nights. Majority of them are no nights. There is
Hmm.
places you can do nights with locked gates, but that's a different story. And
Mm.
yeah, you just basically have to go onto the Federation website, find the water you're going to fish, and it will tell you the night stretches. And you can even do that. You can go onto that Federation Pesh website, and you can translate it to English with a Google browser, and you can literally
Hmm.
find out everything. The world's your oyster. It's that
Yeah.
simple. Yeah.
Brilliant. And have you got any sort of memorable stories or funny stories or any weird goings on that you can think of to share
Oh, the
on the
classic.
water?
The classic is always the French police. So
Right.
in France, you've got different levels of police. You've got the gendarme, and they're all right. They're like just your regular sort of coppers. But then you've got the
Hmm.
police, and the police, all of them have shaved heads, wear sunglasses, and look like the Terminator, and they mean business. Like I've finished sessions before, and you know when you just chuck everything in the back of your van, like I've got a 2.7 meter boat that's still wet in the back of the van, loads of dirty kit, dirty slings, dirty nets. I've had them empty my van at the side of the road looking for drugs. Like everything, they're like, look through your boilies, like 20-kilo bags of boilies, and they'll go through it. And like, you have to put it all away. Oh, mate, it's an absolute nightmare. What else has happened? I've been caught by, I've fished reserves, places where I shouldn't have been, and had gear taken off me. Had to run away from the nature wardens on reserves. All sorts of stuff, man. There's loads of stuff that happens, and the thing is, if I see a carp that I want to catch, I'm going to have a go at it, and that's you have to be slightly respectful of the garde de pêche, but when it's a no fishing lake and you're dealing with the nature, the reserve warden, then you fancy your chances a bit more. Then you can sort of have a go at it, camouflage nets and all that. Yeah. I mean, just look at the
proper. God.
Yeah, you just look at the exploits of someone like the carp pirate David Abbott, and he pretty much sums up naughty carp fishing. Yeah, it's good.
When was your first European trip, Rob?
I'm gonna say probably about 4 or 5 years ago. Do you mean in general or public water fishing?
Yeah, sort of in general that sort of made you get into it.
14 years ago, probably 12 years ago, 14 years ago.
Right.
That's when I first. So my friend's parents have a house in the south of France, in a place called Valréas, and there was a local cafe in the town, and they had a pond, but by pond it's probably like 25 acres. And we used to go and fish there every year, and there was fish to £45 in there, and we just used to go and sit down there. We could go and get, even at 14, 15, we could go and get a beer from the restaurant. And it was great. We had a really good time. Jack's parents always put us up and put up with us as well, and we just had a really good time, And that's what gets it going, isn't it? That's how everyone gets into it.
Yeah, no, nice. Do you think it's sustainable what you're doing? Are you planning on sort of just doing these European adventures for the foreseeable?
Yeah, man, I don't see anything stopping me. Like at the minute, I'm self-employed. I'm into my camera work. I get bits and pieces filming. I've got loads of stuff in the pipeline, filming with a holiday company, and I've just started fishing for quite a reputable company that I really want to do well with. So I want to I really want to push it, man. I want to get back into it and go back out there and do a lot more. So I don't see anything stopping me.
So when you're out even on your own fishing adventures, are you sort of almost not working but doing a bit for companies as well while you're out on the bank with your camera?
What I try and do is I try and separate it so that if I'm fishing somewhere that I'm really, really interested in, then I'll try and do it for myself totally. But then again, I get sent places by companies to go and film, and some of them I get to fish, some of them I don't, and that's just the way it is, And I think that's half the battle. Like the love for fishing, I get just as much buzz of seeing someone else catch a £50 fish as I do of like myself catching one, because I get to take photos of it. Do you know what I mean? If I can take a good photo of someone else and they've got it on their wall, what a feeling, man! Like I love stuff like that. So it does. It makes no.
I suppose as well. Do you get a call? I suppose because you're a bit out of the way now, but do you sort of on people's list when they get a good one for you to go and whiz out and do photos?
Yeah,
I'm on a bit further away.
I'm on a few people's lists, but I'm really out of the way now, so it'd probably more likely be for a grayling or a big rainbow trout now, something like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, if someone caught a really good fish and called me and I was 3 hours away, I'd drive to it. If it was in the middle of the night. Yeah, it wouldn't bother me.
No, nice. Okay, what I want to do now, Rob, is ask our rotary letter style question.
Yeah.
Yours isn't too bad. It's another rig one, and it's which two rigs would be your go-to if you could only put these two, and it's one pop-up and one bottom bait rig. So talk us through both of those.
Right, pop-up rig. I'm gonna have to go for a probably a reverse combi
Yeah.
or a stiff hinge. Man, this is really difficult. I really like a hinge. The thing
Yeah.
is, I know that a hinge, the hooking properties on a hinge are just banging. No, I'm gonna go for a hinge. I'm going for a hinge. I like
Okay.
it
Why?
because I like it because I know that I'm always presented. So
Hmm.
I could be fishing over rocks, I could be fishing over weed, I could be fishing over sand, gravel, like anything. I know nine
Mm.
times out of 10 that pop up is sitting where I want it to be. But it's
Yeah.
very, very rare that I would use a sole pop up if I'm fishing in Europe. Over in the UK, it's a different matter. And
Right.
I don't know what I can't answer that. I don't know why that is, but it's
Right.
just
Okay.
personal
Would
preference.
you use that helicopter or leg clip?
I'm pretty stuck in my ways because I use big leads.
Hmm.
I use lead clips a lot. I do use lead
Yeah.
clips a lot. But recently, because I'm in the UK, I've been using helicopters and I've been using the Corda
Mm.
heli safes, and they are banging.
Yeah.
Like they
Okay.
are brilliant. So
Yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah. It's a clever little invention. Okay. Cool. And what about for your bottom bait selection?
right. So bottom baits. If I'm fishing a bottom bait, I like to have a sort of neutral setup. I like slow sinking, so
Hmm.
I either use the krill wafters or manila wafters, and I just like them to settle really gently. So I go for I sort of make a bit of a claw rig with heat shrink, and I like a curve shank hook as well. Um,
Right.
so yeah, I use the TA curve shanks, and I just kick that little bit of shrink tubing round just over my thumb, just so that it creates that
Hmm.
sort of claw aspect of the rig. And then if
Yeah.
I'm over away, I'm normally using like a size 2 and a snowman.
Hmm.
But in the UK, I'll be using like a straight wafter, quite quite a sort of semi-stiff hook link, just to make sure that always kicks away, depending on the bottom,
Yeah.
obviously. Yeah, I'm pretty set in my ways, man, with rigs. I've got like
Hmm.
4 rigs that I use. So
Yeah. No, it's good. Yeah. It's the confidence factor as well, isn't it?
yeah, man. Well,
If you're
that's
confident, especially if you're fishing like a low stocked place,
yeah,
you
yeah.
need to
Well,
know, don't you?
yeah. I mean, I think 90% of carp fishing's watercraft, and then the other 10% is making sure
Hmm.
that you've got a bait presented properly.
Yeah. No,
So
definitely. I completely
yeah.
agree with that. So while we're on rigs, what about on those two rigs, baiting scenarios? How would you fish them?
So recently, I've been fishing little hinges, short hinges, really close to the deck, and I've been cutting down yellow manila pop-ups, and I've been fishing them over 12 mil manila and corn, and that has done me some
Right.
proper fish this winter. And I like to spom an area. Um,
Hmm.
I'm not a bait and wait sort of guy. I will move around a
Hmm.
lot. But it depends on if I'm fishing from a boat, then again it's totally different. If I'm fishing from a boat, you're lowering your rigs off the boat. I know I can use a slightly longer hook link without it tangling, so I'll go as long as I can,
Yeah.
and I'll use a
Yeah.
snowman, and then I'll literally just 12. That I don't, it's a myth that people use loads of bait abroad. I use a
Right.
handful of boilies, 20 mil, a handful of
Hmm.
16s, and then maybe a handful of maize or
Yeah.
tigers or something like that. Little bits over each rod, and I just fish for a bite.
Yeah.
I think
Nice.
going turning up and putting 40 spoms out and then putting 3 rods over the top of it. Well, I mean,
Hmm.
I don't think that's the best way to fish all the time. Well, the dogs are kicking off now.
Yeah, that's right, mate. Where have you been fishing this winter then? Was that abroad or was it in the UK?
No, no. So I've been fishing this winter. I've mainly been fishing over at Bluebell in Peterborough.
Okay, yeah,
I've had
yeah,
some good results there again with the
yeah.
Manila, and
Hmm.
yeah, it's just been tearing it apart, man. We've had really it's
Yeah,
been good weather. It's been good weather this winter because we've had southwesterlies,
yeah.
really good pressure, and it's it's just been banging, and everyone
Yeah,
has
it's
been
almost been
catching
like
carp.
autumn all the way through, hasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it's been really mild. It's been really mild.
Yeah, nice. No, completely. And moving on, what is your question that I can ask our next guest?
Right. Okay. Well, I think, like I said before, I believe that carp fishing is 90% watercraft. and 10% having a bait in the right place they want to eat, presented properly. So my question would be, you know, what's that person's 3 most important aspects of their watercraft?
Nice. I
I
like
know,
that. Yeah, that's a
yeah.
good one. 3
I think
most important.
I
Yeah.
think it'll open things up a bit, because I know a lot of people do things differently, and
Yeah, I might, in fact, Rob, I might even keep that question in. It's a staple question that I ask people, just because I think it can give so many different answers.
yeah, for
If
sure.
people are willing, obviously, everyone isn't willing to give every tip, but even one little nugget can be really useful, can't it?
Absolutely. And the thing, people give away a lot more tips than you think. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
You just have to watch
yeah,
someone when they're fishing, someone who's doing well, and you can pick up loads.
yeah. No, definitely awesome. One last thing before you go, Rob, if that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, no worries, man.
I'm just getting everyone to do a sketch of a carp in 60 seconds, film it, and then send me the result if possible, please.
Oh, God. Okay.
Just,
Right.
just as a bit of lockdown fun.
Yeah,
And I've
I'm
said
going to
this
have
to
to find
several
some
people.
paper. I'll find some
Yeah,
paper.
don't worry. It's not the bar isn't very high. Let's
No,
say.
I did see a fantastic thing on Jacob Worth and Polish Carper. You know, Matt's
Yeah,
mate of mine, Polish. They did a
yeah.
thing the other day where they drew carp in blindfolds, and it was classic. Polish definitely
Oh,
cheated.
nice. On
He
one of their
definitely
lives.
cheated. Yeah, on one of their lives,
Yeah,
but it was banging. Yeah, great
yeah. They've been
viewing.
keeping us entertained. Yeah,
Yeah, for
brilliant.
sure.
Okay. Yeah, awesome. Right, Rob, we'll wrap up there, mate. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks for having me, mate. I've really enjoyed it.
Good. Okay, and take care and stay safe, you and yours.
Yeah, you too, man. You too.